Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Alec Hudnut, who's the Managing Partner at Vici Partners. Alec, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. Nice to be on.
Yep, looking forward to talking with you. So I want to hear about your background, your story, how you got into the industry, but I always like to start off with when I hear a name of a company that's not obviously familiar, what is a Vici?
So Vici Partners, Vici is Latin for I conquered.
Oh, good.
We help companies improve their operating income, and we work on a contingency basis.
Nice. So I was hoping that it wasn't so simple as, our founder's last name is Vici, and we just named it from that. So good. It's got a nice, bold, I conquered. That's awesome.
There you go.
That's a great story. So tell me your story. How'd you get into this industry?
So I had a varied background. When I graduated from college, I worked at Goldman Sachs as a financial analyst, and I went to Harvard Business School. Then I spent 5 years at McKinsey and their operational turnaround group, working in the banking and oil and gas sectors. And then I left McKinsey after about 5 years and started a software company, which ended up being the world's first e-learning company. So if you're at the Smithsonian, our code is in there as the first e-learning course ever, which was delivered by the company, which was called University Access at Cal State University Hayward here in California in the Bay Area, and sold that business, and then joined a robotics company doing autonomous navigation. Sold that business to the biggest consumer robotics player in the space, and then started a derivative company of the robotics company focused on visual pattern recognition, which was the key competitive advantage in the robotics company. We started a visual pattern recognition company in retail and built scanners that could recognize packaged goods without having to see the barcode. Sold that to the biggest fixed scanning company in the world. And then joined Green Dot Bank as an executive, running their prepaid debit card business, which is about a $600 million business. And then 10 years ago, a couple of my old friends from McKinsey had started Vici Partners and asked me to join. And now 10 years later or so, I'm the managing partner of the firm.
And so through that storied past of some really in-depth, really high-level things, boy, you think about someone going, well, when do you actually sleep and live life? Because that is quite the resume. So you gave a brief blurb about what you guys do with maximizing and optimizing, but what is it that Vici Partners focuses on doing for your clients?
So we work with clients, and they could be as small as a couple $100 million in revenue, or as large as $75 billion in revenue. We work with them over, at the smaller companies, a 2-year period, and the bigger companies, a 2 to 3 year period, to help improve their operating income. And historically, we have improved our clients' operating income by at least 25% in a 2-year period. And of course, nobody believes that that's actually possible, because that's a huge lift.
Yeah.
And as a result, we price 75% of our fee as contingency based. So our clients pay us when the cash flow is actually increasing. And so we put our money where our mouth is. And, we compete against the big firms. McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Alec's partners, Alvarez and Marcel, all the Deloitte, all the big firms. And what allows us to win business, which is difficult, very difficult against the big firms, because they've often been at the clients for many years.
Yeah.
What allows us to win business is that we have historically delivered meaningful improvement to operating income in a short period of time. And so they can, prospective clients can call the CEOs and CFOs of our past clients and verify that we were actually able to deliver material improvements to earnings.
And so
we do it in a very untraditional consulting way. So most consulting firms, want to come in and tell you what the answer is.
Yeah.
And most consulting firms use a leveraged model where there are a few senior people and a lot of people right out of business school or 5 years out of business school. We don't do either of those things. We do not tell our clients what to do. We do not make presentations. We believe that the answer lies inside of the company. So we go out and we talk to hundreds and hundreds of people at the company, to suppliers, to customers, and we generate ideas from the field on how operations can be improved or how customers can be served better. And they don't end up being big, huge, fancy strategic ideas usually. They're very tactical, operational ideas. And we end up implementing several hundred of them at our clients and materially improving operating income. So our first difference from the big consulting firms is that we believe the answer lies within. And since we get paid on successful implementation, we know that if the company itself is developing the ideas or the initiatives, they're much more likely to get them done.
Yep.
Versus an outsider telling them what to do. So our first differentiation is that we believe that the answer lies within, and we have a very methodical process to find those answers and turn them into initiatives and get them greenlit and get them implemented. And the second thing is we do not believe in the leveraged consulting model. Our consultants that work with us are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They've been partners at big consulting firms, or they have been CFOs or CEOs or EVPs in big companies. And everybody on our team is an experienced executive, because we think in consulting that the right formula for consulting is that the quality of the idea times the buy-in for the idea equals the value that can be generated inside of the company for that idea. So Q times B equals V. And most consulting firms don't spend a lot of time on the B, the buy-in. And we spend at least as much time on the buy-in as we do on the quality of the idea. And we have found that executives, former executives, do buy in much better than the 28-year-old coming out of Harvard Business School, because they know at 53 how important the buy-in is.
Yeah, but been around the block a time or two.
Yeah, and without buy-in, it doesn't get done.
Well, and it reminds me of the old, hey, knowledge is power. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Knowledge is potential power. The whole power comes in when you implement it and put it into action. That's exactly what you just described. You don't waltz in there, throw a couple of, cliche phrases, a few reports, a big chunk of, action steps in a 3-ring binder and say, okay, give us your fee. And this is what you need to do. And they stare at it like, we've got 4,000 things on our to-do list today. You think I'm going to implement this in the next anytime? So for you guys to come in, roll up your sleeves, do it, and you're heading in the right direction with something super powerful, which is not theory and conjecture, but let's get into your environment and figure it out from what lies within. Talking to your suppliers, who does that? Vendors, clients, prospects, all of that. And then figuring out like, okay, well then the people have spoken. Here's what we need to do. And then I think another massive thing that you guys are doing is you've been there with the other big firms. You see how they pitch and prospect and price. And you're doing it the opposite. You're going, look, let's just bill you a little bit up front here to cover our hard costs, but we're going to wait until we provide results. And then that's when our fee is. And then you guys, the client wins because they've already got the lift and they're peeling out a piece of the lift to pay your fee. Wow. Everybody's winning in that respect.
Yeah. And it addresses the fundamental beef that CEOs and CFOs have with consultants. And that beef is, so where are the results? And they're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Most consulting firms don't commit to delivering the results, but we will stay with the client until the initiatives actually generate cash flow. And then we will be paid the majority of our fee when that cash is actually generated.
Yeah.
So we've flipped the script on consulting.
Yes.
Basically said, we only want to be paid when there's meaningful value that's been generated. We are aligned with you. And that's a very, that's compelling to our clients. And the satisfying thing about Vici Partners for me, and one of the reasons I love my job, is in addition to helping the C-suite, the CEO and CFO, who are our clients, materially improve earnings, what gives me even greater joy is that we bring voice to the front line. Okay. So I remember when we were working for a large insurance company and we were doing a brainstorming session in the mailroom. And one of the guys in the mailroom said, hey, we seem to be sending out a lot more mail than we used to. And I said, well, how much mail are you sending out? He said, I don't know, but we have 33 mailrooms across this big $50 billion company. We have 33 mailrooms across the company, and let's go figure it out. So it took us about 6 weeks to figure out how much they were actually spending on mail, because there is no mail budget for the whole company, right? You got to go find it in the marketing budget, the distribution budget, the sales budget. And anyways, we added it all up, and they were spending $250 million a year on mail in the age of the internet, right?
Yeah.
And so we decided to go after piece by piece. And the first piece we went after was the $9.5 million of overnight, early morning FedEx delivery envelopes that they were sending to themselves.
Oh. And probably 90% of those didn't need to be there by 10 a.m. the next day. They could have waited till the following day.
Exactly. Yeah. Or they could have been delivered electronically. So the root cause for that $9.5 million was two very powerful people, the head of HR and the general counsel. The head of HR, she wanted any new HR programs to be FedEx to people's houses so that they would open them at home and be excited about the new Vision program or the new 401k program. And then with the general counsel, he wanted to have all of the final paperwork definitely completed within a certain period of time by the contractors. And so when a contractor left, they would, and they weren't able to complete the paperwork in the office, they would get a FedEx envelope the next day to complete it. And we had to work with both the head of HR to say, look, let's try instead of mailing things out, let's do an interactive online announcement of the new program, which allows you to have people sign up in real time for the program. So we piloted that, and she liked it better, and we got rid of the FedExes, which saved $4 million. For the general counsel, his big issue was he didn't want to let contractors out the door without signing all the final paperwork, and he was right. And so we made more rigorous meetings, more auditing meetings with the contractors to make sure that they got all the details before they left. And if they did leave without getting it, we would first try with email and then try with a follow-up phone call. And only if we didn't get them would we then do the FedEx.
Right.
And so now, so the guy in the mailroom, think about how hard that would be for him to get done on his own, because he's going to battle with the general counsel and the head of HR. Right. No way he's winning that. But with Vici Partners in the room, and we've got the CFO sitting in the room, the CFO is basically looking at the general counsel and the head of HR saying, look, I want that $9 million.
Yep.
Can you figure it out. To stop doing this? And now,
did they go back to that mailroom contact and do any type of recognition appreciation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So here's the point I'm hearing when you're saying that is you're going you're not just like surveying the C-suite and the sub C-suite. You're going down to the mailroom, and you uncovered a gem. And here's something wonderful. And if you can tell us how or what that recognition looked like, that's great. But here's something that I think is empowering. Here's now this group of people in the mailroom they think of themselves as the lowest of the low. And now they walk around with their head held high going, we made a difference.
That's right. And that is what's so satisfying to me.
Yeah.
Running Vici Partners. Now the guy in the mailroom's riding up in the elevator in the morning with the CFO, and the CFO knows him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, thanks. I really appreciated the $9 million.
Yeah.
And he says, and do you have any others? Right.
Yeah.
So the door's open, right? The door's open. And, we go to work for money, right? We got to support our families, but we also go to work for meaning. And our process allows frontline workers and mid-level managers to have meaning because they get in front of the C-suite through our process in a way that they haven't before, and they get recognition. And some of our clients, Mike, to answer your question, sometimes it's an award, sometimes it's additional stock grants or a cash reward. But what's most important is, that guy from the mailroom is presenting his idea to the executive team, and they're signing off on it. And they're holding him accountable. Yeah. He's holding himself accountable. And now he is sort of part of, he's broadened his horizons inside of the company. And he knows that he's been valuable. And that is
priceless.
What keeps people at companies. When they know they've been recognized and they know they're delivering value that is appreciated.
And that has a ripple effect. That has, like the butterfly effect, whatever you think about it, but it doesn't always have to be money. You don't have to think about, well, now I got to give this guy a bonus or a cash or a stock or whatever. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs will tell you, sometimes it's just some massive recognition and appreciation. So know where that recognition is, and don't just high five them once and go thanks. Make sure that it's done, but it doesn't have to be massive money, massive stock options. It could just be a wonderful celebration in the mailroom and honoring them. And what a huge peace and lift that gave them.
And so the organization learns the value of giving voice to frontline workers and mid-level managers because of the tremendous financial results of the project. And basically now the executive team realizes that they have another tool in the quiver to keep growing earnings, which is look inside the company. And what we find at companies is that the executive team is doing the most important things for the company, right?
Yeah.
Launching they're focused on the biggest customers, the biggest investors, making sure they have a good top 100 executives in the company, that the product lines are solid. They're doing all the big things. We at Vici Partners, we don't work on the big things. We work on the medium size and small rocks, and we implement 300 of them at once.
And that's leakage. You're plugging up the holes.
Yeah, we're doing things that they just either don't have time to do, or in the case of the mailroom, it would have been a real political blocker that guy in the mailroom couldn't have gotten through without us.
Yeah, the old suggestion box, it would never have worked. And you guys are almost like detectives. You're going in and you're diving in deep, and you're active listening, you're strategically listening, and you could have, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, none of that would have worked. But you're sifting through and watching for indicators that could turn into some of these increases or savings. Wonderful. And I think that, like you said, that just is super rewarding. And I'm sure that your clients are just thrilled to death when you come back with some of these reports. And we just described one line item under the 250 million in mail. Boy, there's probably 10,000 other stories. So what a wonderful opportunity that is that you guys are providing your clients.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very rewarding. And we, our clients buy us because of the impact on operating income, but they love us because of our impact on the culture.
Yep. Well, I tell you, Alec, it's been real eye-opening hearing what you guys are doing. If someone is listening to this, wanting to learn more and connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
They can go to ViciPartners.com and reach out to us that way. And also, you can just take some of these lessons yourself into your companies. The question that we ask all employees that we interview, we ask a single question to start the conversation. If you owned this company and you were trying to make it more efficient or more responsive to the customers, what would you do? And everybody has an opinion on that question.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's how we start the process of generating ideas.
Wow. Love it. Huge. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much, Mike. I enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.